Welcome to the Keep Your Cool Mama podcast, where it's all about you, Mama. I am your host, Sheilah. I am here to help the busy, overwhelmed mom reclaim her sanity, balance motherhood, her self care, and to unapologetically grow. I am so happy you are here and hope you plan to stay a while. Kick your feet up, sit back, relax, so we can focus on you. Let's go, cool mama. Hey, cool mamas. This is Sheila, and you are listening to episode 63 of the Keep Your Cool Mama podcast. Hey, ladies. How are you today? I'm very happy that you have joined me for another episode. I hope that you are doing good and feeling good from the inside out. Let's go ahead and get into today's Cool Mama check-in. I am feeling a mixture of emotions today, so I'll try to keep it as short as I can. I'm not even going to mention what I always mention. If you know, you know. I will tell you that I feel like I am in a serious transition phase of my life, and with that transition phase has come a lot of reflecting and planning ahead for what's to come. Now, while in the process of transition, I am also making some serious changes to how I am treating myself. As I told one of my best friends today, I am about to take care of myself and just take my self-care to a different level because it's needed. I've noticed how much I've slacked in multiple areas of my life that are affecting me mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And, I just love myself too much not to show myself that I am worth the care and the love that I give out to everyone else. So I'm learning that slacking off happens in life, and, trying not to be hard on myself when things like that happen. But what matters most is that you get back up when you slack off and you commit to doing better than you did before. And that's what I'm doing. Life has been throwing me just so many lessons lately, and I'm really, really grateful for it. And I'm so here for doing what I need to do to take care of me. Just like I talked to you about, I'm practicing what I preach. And sometimes you just have to take a look in the mirror, inwardly and outwardly, and just recognize the change that is necessary and refuse to ignore it. I'm tired of ignoring what needs to happen. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not ignoring it, and I'm doing what needs to be done. If you are experiencing something similar, I hope that you will join me and we can just transition into the fullness that God created us for, that He created us to be. So let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Today, I actually want to take a look back to episode 25, Inevitable Changes in Motherhood. I re-listened to this episode and I was just amazed at how much time had passed and how much I've grown since then. At the time when that episode was recorded back in, I believe it was 2021, I was 35 years old. My oldest son was 13, my middle son was 12, and my youngest son was 6 years old. They are currently 17, 15, and 9. And we all have grown so much since then. And I talked a lot about how I was feeling about my oldest son going to high school later that year and how sad it made me feel. And I talked about the importance of acknowledging your feelings while still enjoying the moments. My oldest son is now headed into his senior year of high school. And I honestly cannot believe how fast time has gone by. And, I've committed myself to being involved in all of my children's lives through consistent conversation, being physically and emotionally present, and having fun with them. And doing this has helped me to really enjoy the change that is occurring over time. And that's one of the things that has changed for me since that episode. I'm more so looking forward to the future and excited for the future instead of dreading them growing up. Um, and while I am grieving the little boys that they once were, I am excited about who they are becoming. And listening to this episode helped me realize how important it was for me to talk about how I was feeling about my oldest son going into high school. Doing so, it really helped me to be intentional about soaking up the moments that we have together while he and his brothers are still children. These are exciting times, and I don't want to miss it. I wanted to rewind back to this episode because I thought it fit well with the season a lot of us as moms are going into, which is a brand new school year. A new school year means growth on so many different levels, not just educationally. It's important that we are embracing these precious moments as moms. And if this is your first time listening to this particular episode that I'm rewinding to, I hope that you enjoy it and it encourages you to live in the moment with your children and also acknowledge how you are feeling about them growing up. And if this is your second or multiple times listening to this episode, I hope that you will listen again and that you pull new lessons from it now that some time has passed and your children are older. So let's go ahead and get into this rewind episode, the inevitable changes in motherhood, and I will talk to you ladies next week. I love you. Here we go. Mom, change when it comes to being a mom with growing children into adulthood. If you guys don't know, I have 3 boys. 3 sons, 3 amazing sons. My oldest son is 13 years old. He'll be 14 in June. Will be in 9th grade. My goodness. In August. That is one of the changes that is getting me the most. My middle son is 12 years old. And my youngest son is 6 years old. Particularly when it comes to change, change hasn't always been easy for me from the time that I was a little girl. So much so that I would avoid acknowledging when change was happening because of the uncomfortable feeling that was attached to change. But as I've gotten older, as I have had children, I've realized the importance of acknowledging change. When it happens, as it's happening, in the middle of it, and just knowing that you're not going to be prepared for everything, but when you welcome that change is going to happen, I feel like you are better able to deal with what comes your way, if that makes any sense. Now, I just have a few points that I want to go over when it comes to change, being a mom, and your children growing up, and the different phases that they go into during childhood, into teenager, into adult. Well, currently, I'm in the teenager phase, entering into teenager, so I'll speak to it from that aspect, but please fit it wherever whatever area you are in motherhood. I feel like we can all relate to each other because children are growing. They are growing. They're not going to stop. It's just going to happen. So I feel like we could just relate to each other somehow, some way. And I know normally I talk to you guys mostly about your personal growth and things that'll help you in your journey as far as growth goes. But I think this is part of it when you have children and you're a mom, because As you're growing within yourself, your children are growing at the same time. And while you're tackling trying to be a better woman overall, you're still a mom at the same time. So when you're able to just when you're able to deal with change a lot better, I personally think that it will help all areas of your life. So first of all, what you want to do when it comes to change and being a mom, give yourself time and room to feel that change. Like I said, my son will be in ninth grade in August, and we're currently preparing for that. And it is hitting me hard. And at first, like when he was in seventh grade, I said, oh my goodness, he'll be in ninth grade in 2 years. Then he's in eighth grade. Oh my goodness, he's going to be in high school next year. And instead of being, because I'm going to be emotional about it, but instead of like just saying, I'm just going to just not pay attention to it, I'm just going to let time pass, I'm just going to enjoy the moment, which is important. It is also important to sit with myself and allow myself to feel that change and to give myself time and room to mourn my son not being a baby anymore. And I think that that's a real thing when you see that they're growing into their own like just self, which is good and is in like everything that you dreamed of for them, and you see that they're turning into the human being that you ultimately wanted them to be, or that God ultimately created them to be. That's a good thing. But I gotta tell you, I actually am mourning that he is, all three of them, that they're just not babies anymore, and they don't need me in the same way that they did when they were babies. And I want them to be independent. However, like I said, I'm mourning that sometimes. And especially as my son, his voice is deeper, he's getting taller, and all the things that come with being a teenager is happening, and it's affecting me. And I'm not going to lie and say that it isn't, but I think it's important that I give myself the opportunity to feel that as it's happening, and not just say I don't want to talk about it, because I'm good for that sometimes. It's too much to talk about. I don't want to talk about it. But sit with that, and ways to do that, I believe, is journaling about it is number one. And these are things that you can look back over time, and just as you processed what was happening in your children's life in certain years, you can look back at that and see how you were feeling, how you dealt with it. And in the moment when you're journaling, it gives you a release. It gives you that room and that time to think about how you feel about what's happening right now. While we can be happy about the fact that our children are alive, healthy, well, and all of those good things, it's nothing wrong with also acknowledging that, I'm kind of sad that they're not little anymore, and they don't need me the same way that they need me, and that things are just changing, and it changes so fast in the blink of an eye. And I think, just writing those things down is really helpful for me. And when I look back at those things, like when my boys were a little younger, and I would journal, and I see those journal entries, it's always interesting to me to look at then and look at now. But then just also knowing that it is a release, and it gives me that time, as I said, to think about that and to feel that, so that I can enjoy, the moments and not feel so sad about it all the time. Cry about it. Oh my goodness. I'm a crier. I cry often. And I allow myself to feel as often as I can. And crying is a way to let yourself feel change. Um, I went to registration for my son's high school last weekend, and I was in the car with my mom. It was just me and her, and I was waiting for my appointment to start so that I can get him registered. And out of nowhere, ladies, when I say out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, I burst into tears. A thought must have went past my mind to make me realize and say, I'm sitting at the high school that my son will be going to. This is happening in not a year, but in months' time that he will be in high school. And within 4 of those years, the next year, within 4 years, he'll be graduating from high school. Like, that's how my mind goes. Like, I don't just think about right now, I think about everything that's going to come after that. And I just burst into tears. And my mom, she said, oh boy, like she knew that was coming, right? And she said, don't start, because if you start, I'm going to start, because it's her firstborn grandson. And the fact that we can just remember the day that he was born and we're getting him registered for high school is mind blowing. And I understand that it's a part of life, but that change can really affect you. And I don't want to just let time pass by without me allowing myself to feel that my sons are growing up and it's affecting me. So crying about it, it's okay. Give yourself time to cry about that. I know for me, I cry every first day of school from the time all of my boys start, from kindergarten on. Every first day of school I cry. And you know why I cry? Because it's just illustration of them growing up and time just passing by so freaking fast. Like, why is time going by so fast? And it's like they tell you, like, enjoy them while they're small, because time is just going to fly by. And not just when they're small, let's enjoy them at every moment. But cry about it. I'm telling you, cleanse yourself and allow yourself to cry about it when you need to. And also talk about it. Talk about it. Like, this is my way of talking about it with you guys, because I'm in the midst of this. This isn't something that I have completely figured out. I'm just here sharing with you guys what I've been doing, what I've been thinking about, because I'm in the midst of it. And talking about it helps me. I know for me, I talk to my mom, my husband, of course, because we share him as a son. And I talk to my sister, my friends. I just talk to them about, like, how I just can't believe it. I can't believe how this is happening so fast. And I mean, not only is he growing in age, I am too. And and sometimes that could take me back. Like, I was 21 when I had him. I'm 35 now. When did that happen, right? So I just say talking about it is just a really good way of allowing yourself to just be in the moment and to acknowledge your feelings about it, and to just not keep it all bottled up inside. Don't feel like you can't talk to whoever that you're close to about how you're feeling about the change that is going on. And there are just so many changes that goes on within our children's lives, year after year. Why not talk about it? Why not give yourself space to just get it out, just get it all out? And so don't let the days pass without acknowledging how you feel about it. And I think so often we just let the hours go by, the minutes go by, the days and years go by. We go to work, we have the activities, we do all of these things, just, trying to live, that we just let time just pass without acknowledging how we feel about something. And I'm going to be honest with you. As of today, as of last week, I've been anxious. I've been feeling unprepared. As prepared as you can be financially and all of those things that you wrote down when they were born, how they would do this, you would send them here, they would be good at this, you would invest in this, invest in that. Sometimes the emotional part is what you're unprepared for. And I have been extremely emotional, and I cannot say that I was prepared for that. And it's okay to not be prepared for everything. And I acknowledge that I was not prepared for the emotional side of my children growing up. When they were born, I said, I'm just going to take it day by day. I'm not going to think about it. But no, I'm thinking about it. And I'm anxious. I feel unprepared. And that's where prayer comes in, definitely. Because, of course, do not be anxious about anything. But honestly, those are things that I've been feeling. I'm also feeling nervous. I remember high school, right? I remember all the good things and all the bad things. But of course, when you have children, you automatically think about the bad things and how you want to protect them from everything. And I have to remind myself also that we've gotten through every grade thus far, and he is an amazing young man, as is my second oldest son, as is my youngest son. So why be as nervous as I am? But I can't help it. I'm their mom. It's what I do. I want to protect them at every step of the way. But the reality is, I can't protect them from everything. But I'm still acknowledging how I feel about it. I'm nervous. But you know what? I'm also excited. I'm excited that my children have made it this far. I am excited that they are alive and that they are well. I am excited about the amazing human beings that they are growing up to be. I'm excited about the time that I have to spend with them. I'm excited about that. So I'm also acknowledging that feeling as well. And another point that I also want to make is don't rush. You don't get the time back. So change, when it happens, like I said, sometimes we can ignore it. We can just allow it to happen without really paying attention to it and rush through it so that we can't really feel what's happening and what's going on. But I want to say to you, don't rush. Live, like really live it moment by moment, day by day. Because, like I said, we cannot get that time back. These are precious moments. No matter if your child is an adult, no matter if your child is a baby, a young child that's between 7 and 10, however, teenager, we can't get the time back. So we should not rush it. Even through the tough times, the challenging times, we should we should cherish it, is what I'm trying to say. We should cherish these moments, no matter what type of moment that it is, because we're going to be able to learn from this in the future. And we're going to be able to look back on it and see how we came from where we were. And we're going to be able to just, when you don't rush, you can actually think about those times. I think about sometimes how I don't want to be older and can't remember much about my children's childhood because I rushed through it just trying to survive, just trying to get through every day because of how chaotic and hectic and you know how motherhood is, you know. I don't want to forget those things. I want to remember every part of it because these times are precious and it's limited and it's not going to last forever. So do not rush. You cannot get that time back. Cherish it, hold on to it, and just let yourself sit in the moment, and enjoy your children. And lastly, what I want to say is ask your child how they are feeling about any change that is happening as they grow older. You never know. You may be able to relate to each other and comfort one another. I talk to my children about how emotional I get about how old they are getting, and we often sit together as a family and talk about the old days, the days when they were younger and things that happened back then, the funny times and things of that nature. But I also talk to them about how I'm feeling emotional about them getting older and how I remember when I just had them and how I'm having a hard time with it some days. And I do also have conversations with my boys, my older ones right now, because my 6-year-old, of course, we're not really having those type of conversations yet. But my older boys, 13 and 12, Malika Marquise, we talk about how they're feeling about the change that is happening, how Malik is feeling about going into high school, how Marquise felt about going into the 6th grade, and things of that nature, because they're going through it too. And, remind yourself of when you were their age and how nervous you were about certain things, and how unprepared you felt about certain areas of life. Because I'm sure if we think back, then we'll realize we can relate to them. And when you're able to relate to your child, it makes for some good conversation, and it allows them to feel comfortable to talk to you about what's going on with them. And I can almost guarantee you that if you talk to your child and say, hey, how are you feeling about this? If they're old enough to comprehend that, they'll feel like, oh, she really cares about how I'm feeling. And that will, in return, it'll they'll keep that up in their mind. And when they're feeling uncomfortable about something, then they will freely come to you without you having to pull it out of them and talk to you about what's going on with them. I can tell you that that has worked for me. I didn't do it purposely. It just happened organically. Of course, I always wanted my boys to feel comfortable with talking to me about anything. And I would tell them, you can talk to me about anything. But I think the illustration of showing that I really care what's going on with you helped them to see, like, okay, I really can talk to her about anything. So, again, talk to your children about any change that's going on, see how they're feeling on the inside, and just take the conversation from there. And that's all I have today about change in motherhood. And I thank you guys for listening. Again, as always, if you could please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. If you could rate on whatever platform you listen. If you could subscribe on whatever platform you listen to me on. And if you could share with another mom that you could think would enjoy the podcast, I would really appreciate that. And if you have any topic discussions that you would like to hear me talk about, please do not hesitate to email me at keepyourcoolmama@gmail.com. I love you guys. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.